Some time to listen. My name is Steve Schroeder, the founder of FAAST. My partner and I, Troy Sinclair, have developed what we feel is a very unique opportunity for businesses and brands and schools where we use cutting-edge technologies, big data, and a number of mobile innovation kind of solutions to benefit those in need, mainly kids. But we use kids, schools, churches, and special needs causes such as Autism Speaks. I have an autistic child that has a passion, and then we also have breast cancer awareness or anything like that. Today we are very fortunate to have our Chief Data Officer John Dodd, who's going to be going over different kind of ideas on how you can increase revenue by 500%. You just saw that slide there. That's just an article that I can send you, but big data is a big problem for a number of companies. Especially smaller ones in the retail space don't know who their customer is, how to market them, all the different demographics that are tied to them, and we're going to go over that. It's a very exciting thing. It's normally a very expensive proposition, and we're going to kind of share with you at the end here how little this can be. If your brand is willing to help kids in conjunction with FAAST, then we bring these kind of solutions to you for pennies on the dollar. So thank you, John Dodd, for being here, and we look forward to hearing what you're going to say today.
Sure, Steve. Thanks for the kind introduction. We're going to talk about 4 core competencies of FAAST here today in no particular order of importance. We're going to talk about predictive analytics, how we bring pinpoint statistical precision to customer acquisition and retention marketing programs. We're also going to talk about marketing data that we possess here at FAAST as a sort of a bedrock of substance to everything we do, where we maintain a database of every business and every consumer in the U.S. that has postal, phone, and email contact attributes to support multi-channel targeted marketing and donor solicitation, but also has hundreds of demographics, lifestyle elements, behavioral attributes, and we split it out into a business file, a consumer file, an automotive file, and a property file. Again, underpinning virtually all of the campaigns and all of the analytics that we provide here at FAAST. Thirdly, we're going to talk about targeted digital display advertising as a way of using predictive analytics and data to serve ads to highly targeted prospects who are most likely to behave in the way that we want them to, that is to donate money to various nonprofit causes, to continue to donate going forward, and make various product purchases as the objectives dictate. And then lastly, we're going to talk about various database marketing platforms by which we deploy the predictive analytics, the targeted marketing data, and the targeted digital display advertising in order to make it most accessible to our clients. Things like online data count and extract tools, virtualized data production tools, real-time data enrichment or enhancement tools, and retail site location analytics tools. One thing I'll say up front is that FAAST is not the only company that provides these 4 resources. You can go to any number of other providers on the landscape. I call them the big 3 X's, right? Axiom, Experian, Equifax. There's Epsilon and Merkle and Hart Hanks, and I could keep going down the list. All of those companies provide predictive analytics, marketing data, targeted digital display advertising, and database marketing platforms. The key advantage that we provide at FAAST is that we have this sort of tried and true set of data resources that we provision in an entirely new world platform using an expansive, highly secure virtualized data center, so that all of the assets are pre-positioned, all of the data elements, all of the software elements, all of the hardware elements, all the infrastructure elements are pre-positioned in such a way that we can provide these same set of tried and true data and analytics resources much faster and much less expensively than were you to go to one of those sort of big 3Xs or some of those more tried and true data providers. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to talk through sort of the underpinnings to these various resources to help provide a clearer lens into the feasibility of utilizing them toward the end of boosting donor acquisition marketing. Steve, any questions from you at this point? Did I describe that with sufficient clarity, or is there anything you
I
want
think you
to
did.
lend as
I
far
think
as
you
color
did.
commentary?
Yeah, I think you did. The one thing I will add is this, is not only do we target with TAD, and you'll go over that later, let's say donor kind of people that may want to donate, but what we also do is we do that on behalf of business partners for their customers. So, for example, I mean, if you happen to be a Papa John's and you happen to be across the street from a Hilton or a major, let's say, hospitality venue, and you want to be able to reach those people and you have no other way, then we have no problem in reaching down, you know, using TAD and other omni-channel kind of things that we'll discuss to kind of drive them to Papa John's, because maybe we are doing a partnership with Papa John's where a portion of every pizza might go to some kids, where we're doing a membership kind of a program. So not only do we do this on behalf of nonprofits for donor kind of attributes or acquisition, but we also do it for businesses who work with FAAST as partners. So it's pretty powerful platform either way. That's all I wanted to say, John.
Good color commentary. Thanks, Steve. So moving forward, let's talk for a moment about predictive analytics. All right. Now, all we're really doing with predictive analytics is helping you to better wrap your brain around your most prominent customer characteristics and the most prominent characteristics of your markets, while most importantly boosting your return on marketing investment from your advertising campaigns for customer acquisition. There really are mostly what we do is we take a group of people who have behaved in some desired fashion in the past, right? They've responded to your ad campaigns, they've made purchases, they've donated. Whatever those behaviors are, what we're looking to do is to optimize those behaviors going forward. And we use a combination of demographics appended from our compiled marketing universe of every business and every consumer in the U.S., along with customer-specific fields that are proprietary to your customer or donor databases, things like transaction values, purchase dates, product details, etc. And always, 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 we're trying to drive two primary actionable outcomes. One is a behavioral profile that sort of asks and answers the question, what makes people who spend money with you different from people who don't spend money with you but who occupy the same vertical markets? How are those two groups similar and how are they different? That is, your customers versus your prospect universe. Once we understand the similarities and differences between your customers and your prospect universe, that allows us to build a predictive scoring algorithm that takes the most prominent characteristics of your customers as identified in that profiling piece and applies them to the universe so that we can stack rank every business and every consumer in the U.S. based on their likelihood to purchase from you, bringing pinpoint statistical precision to your customer acquisition marketing efforts in follow-on steps. If you think about what we're trying to accomplish from a strategic standpoint, what we're really doing is we're helping you to answer key strategic questions, including, what are the most prominent characteristics of my best customers? How do I find prospects who look most like them? What's my true penetration into the marketplace? Geographically, where should I look to find new customers going forward? How do I communicate with maximum relevance to my various customer and prospect groups? Which of my current active customers are most likely to defect? Which of my current customers are most likely to spend the most going forward? So what's the true lifetime value of a customer? What's the true cost to acquire a new customer? And how do I nudge some of my lower performing customers up the performance chain so that I can get them looking like my best customers. And for any given analytics initiative, you may add another dozen questions to this roster of standard strategic questions that we're trying to answer through these analytics projects. If you look at the common thread woven through the fabric of some of the more well-known customers that we have supported over the years, these are companies that where predictive analytics in particular and database marketing and digital marketing in general figure prominently in their advertising channel mix. So they tend to be marketing service providers, energy and utilities, telecommunications, banks and insurance, healthcare providers, multi-channel retailers, continuity clubs, catalogs, high-tech companies. We do a lot in travel and hospitality, online businesses. We do a tremendous amount with nonprofit charities and higher education, and also B2B or business services and related consulting. The types of models that we create as part of our analytics efforts really run a broad spectrum, starting with churn intervention models, or using predictive analytics to identify existing customers who are at greatest risk of defection, and then supporting early intervention customer retention and loyalty marketing programs with maximum statistical confidence. New customer acquisition marketing, as we've talked about, where we bring pinpoint statistical precision to the most likely prospects who are going to buy from you going forward. Customer optimization or cross-sell, upsell marketing. Cluster segmentation, where we're helping to divide your population into common groupings. You might think of it as a pie chart with various pieces of pies, where we aggregate your customers into like groups so that you can target them with maximum relevance in your messaging. Best payer models, which are a means of identifying which of your current customers or which of your new customers are most likely to pay their bills and which ones aren't, so that you can require deposits from those who are least likely to pay. Best customer models, where we're looking at the old 80-20 rule, where 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your customers. Let's look at the distinctive characteristics of that 20% best customer population, and then see if we can't clone those folks going forward across the balance of your 80% of your other customers. Price elasticity modeling as a strategy for optimizing your pricing on your products and services. Product sequencing or next best product modeling, and customer value segmentation modeling, or recency, frequency, monetary value, and tenure modeling. And again, many other types of custom models that we build for our customers. One of the keys to our value proposition here at FAAST in terms of how we deploy new modeling projects is the systematic phased approach that we take to unfolding new jobs. I like to use the metaphor of crawl, walk, jog, run, where we typically start out with a very low-cost introductory proof of concept, where what we're doing is mitigating risk so that you don't have a whole lot of budget dedicated to it, but in a very short order, in a sort of a same-day, next-day turnaround, what we can do is take a group of your existing customers. We can enrich them by matching them back against our FAAST marketing data repository to enhance the records through the appending of a whole bunch of demographics: age, income, wealth, ethnicity, etc. On the B2C side. On the B2B side, there are things like SIC code, annual sales, number of employees. And what we do then is we build that profile to statistically compare and contrast your customers against a relevant reference universe of non-customer prospects. Again, we charge very little. We have a very quick turn, but we deliver great insight into the feasibility of using predictive analytics in follow-on steps, so that if we move to this walk phase, we can very quickly create a logistic regression predictive scoring algorithm, simply a complex mathematical equation that helps us to go cherry pick the low-hanging fruit prospects off the landscape, so that when you execute targeted marketing programs to them through direct mail, through targeted digital display, through email, through outbound calling efforts, etc., you can expect to achieve a statistically significant boost to your response performance to those campaigns by employing the regression modeling to bring great precision to the targeting. In the jog phase, what we do is very quickly conduct customer value segmentation, where we use recency, frequency, monetary value, and tenure as a segmentation schema. The idea there is that customers who spend lots of money with you with great frequency over a long period of time and just did so yesterday are more valuable to you than people who spent $5 once a long time ago, and that there are various gradients in between. So when we aggregate your customers into quartiles, or roughly equivalent 25% buckets, where the top 25% of your customers by RFM-T are slugged as platinum, the next 25% is gold, then silver, then bronze, we're now grouping your customers into sensible segmentation buckets, and thus can develop analytics and marketing strategies and tactics based on cloning your best customers, on cross-selling and upselling to your lower performing customers based on their degree of propensity to perform like your higher performing customers. So we could do that very quickly and very inexpensively once we've kind of kicked the tires in an initial proof of concept, and then developed a statistically precise acquisition model. We can then very quickly move into this jog phase and do customer value segmentation modeling. Then once you've gained great comfort and familiarity with FAAST as your analytics and data partner, we can very quickly move into any number of fully collaborative custom models in this run phase, based on that laundry list I showed you a moment ago, where we do cluster segmentation modeling, churn intervention modeling, price elasticity modeling, next best product modeling. Any number of custom models we can provide to you in this run phase. Moving forward here, this is just an example of this initial crawl phase proof of concept model, where very quickly and very inexpensively we produce a set of charts that statistically compare and contrast your customers against a reference universe, both in terms of customer frequencies and penetration indexes across a multitude of variables. In this example here, we're looking at age range, but we also do it across age, donor behavior, dwelling type, etc., etc., etc. And then on the B2B side, we can do the same thing, except instead of looking at things like age, income, wealth, ethnicity, we're looking at things like annual sales, number of employees, etc., B2B demographics, if you will. Moving on into this walk phase, what we do is we create the predictive scoring algorithm. I won't encumber you with all of the details about it right now, except to tell you that two of the best practices deliverables that come out of a logistic regression predictive scoring algorithm are a gains chart and a gains table. The key metric in here is that if we build the score and we apply it randomly to a universe of prospects and then rank them, then what we do is we have the top 5% of the prospects at the high end of the scoring scale, and the lowest scoring prospects at the bottom of the scale, and then you have 18 other gradients of 5%, in between, then we pull a random sample of your actual customers and we blindly seed them in with that multi-million record scored prospect universe, and we retroactively look to detect where those actual customers fall along that scoring scale, and so that if the model is predicting what we set out for it to predict, that is propensity to purchase from you, then you better see the highest aggregation of these customers toward the high end of the scale and see them falling apart toward the bottom end of the scale. So you're always going to kind of have a hockey stick shape to this gains chart. And then to measure the effectiveness of the model in terms of its ability to identify high propensity prospects, we look to see how much taller each of these blue customer bars is in comparison to its corresponding red prospect universe bar. And what we see here at the high end of the scoring scale is this blue bar is 5.65 times taller than this red bar. What that means is if I target my advertising message to these highest scoring prospects, the top 5% of that scored prospect universe, those folks are 4.6 times more likely than average to buy from me. That doesn't mean that I'm going to get a 465% lift in my response and conversion performance. It typically translates to a lift of 20 to 40% over established baseline. So that if I've been, say for example, executing direct mail marketing programs and I've been getting a 2% response rate to my direct mail marketing programs, I can expect that 2% response rate to jump upwards to somewhere between 2.4 and 2.8% by using this type of statistical precision in my targeting. That is a 20 to 40% lift over established baseline or control. So the idea is by using this type of statistical precision in my targeted marketing programs, I'm able to save money and make money. I'm able to spend less targeting more precisely and thus generate more revenue at less expense. And it's an extremely effective tried and true methodology. Moving forward into this jog phase, as I described, what we do here is we create a value segmentation schema where we group your customers into roughly equivalent 25% buckets or quartiles, labeling them platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. And what we do here is the idea is that people who made a lot of purchases recently over a long period of time and spent lots of money are more valuable to you than people who bought once, a long time ago and spent 25 bucks. So our idea is when we go to build the predictive scoring algorithm, we're going to base it on the characteristics of this platinum customer group, or sometimes we'll collapse the platinum and gold into one modeling event group that we use on which to base our predictive scoring algorithm, so that when we go out and score the prospect universe, not only are we identifying high likely customer clone prospects, but we're really identifying best customer clone prospects. And then in the analytics profiling piece, what we're doing is we are looking at the same set of attributes that we looked at in the proof of concept, right? In this example, age, right, or age range, except that we're now comparing the platinum, gold, silver, and bronze customers against the reference universe of non-customer prospects, rather than just comparing all customers against the universe. Again, with the goal towards identifying your best customers, i.e. the platinum group, in the predictive scoring methodology. Moving forward, in the many different types of run phase models, this is one example that we have found our customers to be very warmly receptive to here at FAAST. Is what we call a layered responder converter model. And what we're doing here is building a predictive scoring algorithm that quantifies likelihood to respond, and a separate predictive scoring algorithm that quantifies likelihood to convert into a long-time customer once they've responded. And each of these predictive algorithms has a different set of predictive drivers and a different set of mathematical coefficients to quantify propensity to respond than the set of drivers and coefficients that quantify propensity to convert. So if you apply the scoring algorithms to a list, right, you end up with a mailing list or an email list or a targeted digital display advertising list or a telemarketing list that has, you know, name, address, city, state, zip, phone, email, etc., and then likelihood to respond ranked 1 through 10, and then likelihood to convert once they've responded ranked 1 through 10. So what you see here is these guys that are a 1-1, those are your low-hanging fruit. You definitely want to target those. Over here, you have what you might think of as a tire kicker, right? They're very likely to respond, but then they're never going to buy. And then over here, you have a skeptic, right, that is very unlikely to respond to your advertising solicitations. But if you could just get them to respond, they would be a very generous customer over the long haul. So if you imagine this list going down 250,000 rows deep, and then I took that list and I plotted it as a pivot table or a crosstab report, you can see here that there's 250,000 names on the list, and here on the vertical axis we've aggregated them based on their propensity to respond, again 1 through 10, and here on the horizontal axis we've aggregated them based on their propensity to convert once they've responded, again ranked 1 through 10, so that what the model is telling us to do is to focus on this quadrant here, those folks ranked 1 through 4, likelihood to respond, and 1 through 4, likelihood to convert, so that we are avoiding the skeptics and the tire kickers and focusing our precious finite marketing dollars on those folks who are most likely to respond to our advertising solicitations and then to convert into paying customers for the long haul once they've responded. One of the things we like to do at the end of a campaign is to conduct a retroactive response validation, where we actually take the campaign list, right, the mailing list, the targeted digital display list, the telemarketing list, the broadcast email list. In this example, there were 395,000 on the list. And then we take all customers acquired during the campaign time window. In this case, there were 8,600 customers acquired from those 395,000. And we see that the aggregate response rate was 2.18%. That's 8616 divided by 395,000. But what we see here at the top end of the scale, where the score was in decile 1, or the top tier out of tiers 1 through 10, we got a 3.15% response rate. And we see it just kind of decline linearly until we get here in the middle, where it's a little bit jumbled, and then we see it plummet at the bottom end of the scoring scale, where these lower scoring folks are very unlikely to respond. So you can see that, you know, getting a 3.15% response rate compared to a 0.95% response rate means that with roughly the same mail quantity or the same targeted population quantity, you're getting an order of magnitude higher customer acquisition performance. So that's how these models bring, give you the ability to improve revenue performance while trimming costs. Because there's no sense, once we've looked at this, there's no sense marketing to these lower performing guys. Instead, reserve your finite marketing dollars for these higher performing folks. Okay, I talked briefly at the beginning about our marketing data. I'm going to give you just kind of a quick flyby on our compiled marketing database. What we do is we partner with various U.S. consumer, business, specialty, and trigger data suppliers. There's about 250 core data suppliers that contribute to our marketing database. And once a month, we pull a snapshot from that database actually pull multiple snapshots. We pull a B2B file. It has things like company name, contact name, title, address, phone, email, SIC code, NAICS code, annual sales, number of employees. We also pull a B2C snapshot that has a couple 100 million consumers in it and has name, address, city, state, zip, phone, email, cell phone, age, income, wealth, ethnicity, etc. We pull an automotive file, has 130 or so million automobile vehicles that have make, model, year, color, VIN, mileage, etc. And we pull a property file and a mortgage file. The property file has things like roofing type, square footage, heating type, etc. The mortgage file has things like primary lender, mortgage amount, mortgage rate, etc. So we build out these complex databases. We apply various scores to them to create our own proprietary models, and then we develop various platforms by which we deploy them in those marketing campaigns. If you look at how data elements break out on our file, there's a whole host of demographics, hundreds of them, age, income, wealth, ethnicity, etc. A whole bunch of interests and hobbies, sporting interests, outdoor interests, purchase behaviors. We have life stage clusters that group people together based on kind of a birds of a feather methodology. We have product purchase behaviors, and then on the B2B file, we have various business demographics, or what we call firmographics. On the, again, we have U.S. Consumer and business files. We have various specialty data like the automotive files. We have in the market triggers on the file. So if somebody is looking to purchase an automobile, for example, we have that data gets pings against our database. And we often use the data in cross-sell and upsell marketing efforts. One thing we call our persona, which is a combination of all of the data elements where we bring together consumer demographics as well as business demographics, so that we can find somebody's age, income, wealth, ethnicity, gender, marital status, automobile, etc. And then we can also find what kind of company they work at, what is their title, where do they go to school, what's the SIC code. So we bring that together in a beautiful persona. There's about 25 million of those personas in the file right now. It increases every month, where we overlap our consumer database of 182 million and our business database of 55 million contacts, and we know where they work and we know where they live, so we can target them at home and at work, again with targeted digital display advertising, with direct mail marketing, with email marketing, etc. Again, we have various in the market triggers that will help us to identify when people are on the verge of making life decisions about job changes, auto purchases, home purchases, moves, etc. Here's an example of our auto intender database. Tells you what they're looking to buy and how we can target them. So the total picture here is that we have consumer data, business data, specialty data in the market triggers, and then the cross-sell, upsell modeling as a way of helping you optimize the landscape in terms of targeting prospects for new customer acquisition. This last thing I want to talk about just briefly is our targeted digital display advertising solution. What we do here is we help bring pinpoint statistical precision to multi-channel targeting, where we help you combine traditional direct marketing plus targeted digital display advertising. Targeted digital display is simply if you go to check the sports scores at yahoo.com and you see ads for vitamins and supplements, or let's say, for example, you've gone and searched to buy a new pair of shoes at Macy's, and you didn't actually make a purchase, but you liked a pair of blue and gold saddle Oxfords. And then you got distracted, you had to go do something, you come back an hour later, you log on online and you're checking the weather, and you go, oh, hey, look, they remembered me. There's a picture of those blue and gold saddle Oxfords. That's called digital retargeting, where they place a cookie on your computer, the advertising folks at Macy's, and they knew that you were looking at buying that particular pair of shoes. They'll just continue to serve those ads to you based on your browsing behavior. What we do with targeted digital display advertising is we actually pull a database of consumers, and we target them. So we were able to match them back against a repository of cookies, and then it doesn't matter if they went to Macy's or if they were checking the weather. If they're online anywhere, we're going to be able to serve your ads to them. And we do the same thing that we did with the modeling that I described earlier, where we bring statistical precision to our segmentation of the universe in order to make sure that you get the highest response performance to your ads. All right. You might ask the question, why would you want to consider doing this now, right, as opposed to in the past? Well, one of the things that's happened is that our solution, targeted ad display, is really revolutionary in terms of changing the face of online digital advertising. There's no complexity in it for you. We handle it from soup to nuts, end-to-end, turnkey, make it very, very user-friendly. We bring this great statistical precision to identifying the optimal audience so that you are able to boost the performance of the campaigns. And this is really a first in the industry. We handle the development of the creative. If you can, of course, supply your own ads, but we'll do that for you if you don't have an agency to do that. And we post your ads to a very, very broad spectrum of websites. So if you are, like in the example Steve gave earlier, Papa John's, right? Well, we don't care if you're on a website looking to buy a pizza, right? We just care that you're online. You could be checking your stock performance or looking at the weather or buying, lingerie from Victoria's Secret or looking at the surf report because you want to go surfing on Saturday. It doesn't matter where you are online, and it doesn't matter how you're online. It could be a PC, it could be an Apple, it could be a Mac, a PC, it could be an iPad, a tablet, a smartphone. We're going to serve ads to you wherever you're online and however you're online. And we've developed a price point that makes for extremely compelling test strategy here. The other thing is that our targeted digital solution helps bridge the gap between online and offline. So we're able to provide a multi-channel, multi-touch approach to your advertising, where you're able to execute, say, for example, a direct mail campaign timed with emails that are served to those prospects on the day that the mail piece hits their mailbox. Oh, and by the way, we're going to serve targeted digital display ads to those folks on that same day. So, again, why consider targeted digital display now? One of the things about direct mail is it's expensive, right? It's capital intensive. You can't negotiate with the postal service. You got to pay postage. You got to print. You got to do the letter shop. You got to buy the list. Lick and stick and stuff and sort. Telemarketing is all but done because of the do not call list. 80% of consumers are on the do not call list. Email marketing has become really problematic with low open rates and spam complaints and so forth. We're not suggesting that you abandon those traditional offline channels. We're just suggesting that by incorporating targeted digital display advertising, we have overcome a lot of the barriers that are found in these other traditional offline channels by bringing the same type of statistical precision often used for direct mail, telemarketing, and email marketing, except now we're applying it to targeted digital display. Here's one example of how this multi-channel, multi-touch approach using targeted digital in collaboration with traditional offline channel can boost performance. So what we've done here is we've taken a list of 100,000 prospects and we've scored them with a model to identify the best 100,000 prospects, and we've split them randomly into two buckets of 50,000. In split A, we're doing both direct mail and targeted digital ads. In split B, we're doing direct mail only, no digital ads. And what you see, and this is very common, is you're almost always going to see a 20 to 40% lift in response performance. So where the direct mail only is producing a 2% response rate, you got 1,000 responses out of 50,000 mailed. By using targeted digital on the day that the direct mail pieces are scheduled to hit their mailbox, this is just incidental to the direct mail, to the targeted digital. The direct mail is producing a 30% higher response rate, so you're getting 2.6% instead of 2% on the same mail quantity. So you got 1,300 customers instead of 1,000 by bundling targeted digital with your direct mail. And then the last reason why you might want to consider targeted digital for the first time is historically it has been prohibitively expensive, really constituting a six-figure expense, whereas now with FAAST we're able to do it way less expensively and much faster, again doing so in a very turnkey end-to-end fashion. And in reality, because we handle all facets of it from commencement to deployment and through to post debriefing and response analysis, we're taking the complex and making it simple. So we have the data, we own the data, we have the ability to use it and deploy it in any way to optimize your performance. We have the statisticians on staff to build the predictive analytics and the customer analysis. We have a creative team that can generate the ads and the landing pages for you very quickly and inexpensively. We have all of the necessary assets to execute the campaign. And then lastly, we have subject matter experts to facilitate detailed reporting on click-through rates and conversion rates and response ROI and profit and loss. So from end to end, we do it for you. Steve, do you want to chime in here for a moment, because I'm really kind of at the end of the main points that I wanted to talk about, and we kind of have used up most of the time that we've allotted for this web presentation. Do you want to chime in here?
Yes, I don't know if you can go to the very last slide where I kind of had maybe a highlight of a few things. Let's see if you can do that. Very end, maybe. There you go. Okay. Yeah, here's our next steps. Now, you'll notice when John talked about the 300,000 is what you normally would pay for those big three companies that he spoke about. Maybe you get 200,000 to 300,000, because this is really sophisticated, very powerful stuff. You can see by adding 300, 400, 500,000 customers. It depends upon what kind of business you're in, but how much money that means. The reason we put TBD there, to be determined, is due to the fact of how much you want to help the kids, because we kind of turn this around. We can bring that down to as low as, let's say, $2,000. That's a huge savings. You would never be able to approach this kind of stuff for that. And the reason we're willing to do that is because we want to create a unified message with you, or a strategy message with you, of something that will help the kids. For example, like when John talked about Papa John's, what we want to do is maybe work with Papa John's exclusively, let's say. We would create some kind of a donation on behalf of Papa John's that would give everybody in the United States maybe a really special offer, such as maybe 12 pizzas for 20 bucks. Maybe we block it at one a month, so I don't want to get too granular here, but it's a win-win proposition. We wouldn't charge Papa John's for that. We would raise millions of dollars for schools because of a partnership with him, whether that be Papa John's, whether that be Honda, whether it even be a small business. We don't want to have cost be a prohibitive hurdle to them to be able to really understand who their customers are, why they behave. This is huge ROI that's been hidden from small business, and we now are bringing this down to small business in an affordable manner so that they can compete with the biggest and brightest brands in the world today. It is truly phenomenal. And so the next steps are we will take a spreadsheet of the existing data. We'll sign an NDA so that you know that we're going to destroy the data. There's nothing we can do with it. We work with the biggest firms in the world, such as Citibank and others you saw on the one slide. There's no games here. That's kind of silly. So, but we sign all of that so you're happy with it. We do a complete analysis of your ideal customer that John talked about with a scoring algorithm so that you can target the ideal profiles who are not customers today with an omni-channel strategy of like the TAD, emails, snail mail, calls, etc. Now, if you only want to use, well, remember the one where John just used a snail mail and TAD? Well, there you go. You can just do that. We can do calls and TAD, email and TAD, and we can track and we can verify all this so we know exactly what works, who it works to, why it works, and keep drilling down your costs to go lower and lower while your revenue goes higher and higher. And then, of course, we want to channel all your web visits into a data funnel. And that means when people visit your web, we're now doing a scoring algorithm based on that and turning your whole website into an absolute phenomenal conversion tool. Most websites today, you have no idea who's visiting, let alone what the credit score of the person visiting or the propensity of the person, where they live, how much do they work, how long do they drive. Over 200 different data criteria, all because they visited your website. And then we're the only firm in the world today that I know of, now maybe there's one other, but I mean this is really rare, where we develop all the geo-fence strategy moving forward with it, target these people and track them on an ongoing basis with a custom app so that we learn even more than what you witnessed here in this presentation. So we combine artificial analytics, behavioral analytics, and artificial intelligence, almost like a personalized Siri, so to speak, that learns what your customers are doing, how do they behave, when do they respond, what websites do they visit, what do they do on social media, who do they post to, and it's a personalized engine that learns down to a level of one-to-one, and we absolutely transform your marketing. And why do we do this? Because we're working together to help kids. We deliver this power, this kind of stuff that you have seen, which looks like rocket science to many people, on behalf of people, companies, and brands who want to strategize with FAAST to create a win-win scenario where we can raise millions of dollars for kids by making an increase for everybody. No typical donation where you're giving. It's just a redirection of higher ROI, and the benefit is the kids, the benefits of business. I mean, FAAST, everyone wins. This is the whole concept. So that's the idea of FAAST. We think it's phenomenal. We'd love for you to join us. Contact myself or John. I mean, either one of it doesn't matter, and be in touch. And that's what we'd like to do. And I think that's really all I'd like to say, John. I appreciate your time. I think you can see we're very fortunate to have John Dodd on our team. I can't say enough about the man. We're both standing by. We love to do good for others. So we'd love to work with you. Thanks again, John.
All right, Steve, thanks. Everybody have a great day, and we'll look forward to chatting with you soon.